Who do we have here? Is that a Druid IRL over there?
Yeah, and who are you?
I don't know. I'm this fuzzy-headed, silver-haired guy. What? Refresh my memory.
Stormy D?
That's
Stormy
it. That's
D?
me. I'm
There
Stormy
we
D.
go.
Hi guys, I'm Stormy D, and that green-haired goddess over there is Druid IRL. Thank you for joining us today on Bandwidth and Banter. Whether you're watching on Twitch or on YouTube, we appreciate you and thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Yes. So this is, as we've said many times before, and we will continue to say, Bandwidth and Banter is the highlight of our week. Druid and I both can't wait for this day, for this moment. And we try and pack as much fun and edification into this hour and a half as we can. And the best part about OldManGeras is that he he does stuff with Goblins and Warlocks and Insomnia Night RPG. And floats between all those worlds with those circles, and we just appreciate him so much. And that's who we have on the show today.
We're so excited.
I know, me too. Here we go. There's the man himself. At least as soon as the camera lets him pop in.
Here we go.
Hello, how are you? I love that. Was that Goddess of the Green? Is that what I think I heard? That's perfect.
It does suit her, doesn't it? I mean,
how are you today?
Good. How are you?
We're much better now that
well.
you've joined us because having distinguished folks like yourself on the channel is what we're all about and having a good time. And so we're honored to have you.
The pleasure is all on this side of the camera. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on, especially with the crowd that you've had on here before. Wow. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah.
We're very excited.
So, OldManGeras, please tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and your stream before we get started.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I go by OldManGeras here on Twitch. And typically my streams are focused, well, I'll start with the easy part. I'm an old man. So I focus on very few things because I can't be all over the place. I don't have that attention span. So I focus mainly on space survival style games. So No Man's Sky is kind of my bread and butter. I'm known as being the teacher for No Man's Sky for new players and introducing them into that and helping people with that. But at the same time, with the background that I've done in gaming in the past, I do a lot more with D&D. I'm currently in the midst of converting a world that I created. Started around 1981, and I stopped working on it in 1983, so Basic Edition. And on stream, converting that over to 5th Edition. And it's a lot of fun. Chat's very, very involved with it, but we focus on really taking that and interacting with it. So even the games that we play and making sure that chat is part of that conversation, whether it's naming a planet or having me do a challenge. Permadeath is my No Man's Sky challenge that everyone loves to see when I'm going to die, because I do die in the game, even after 7+ years in there. But really, it's about that that interaction with the chat in either one of those two activities that I do. We really try to stay very family friendly, though honestly, sometimes there have been conversations, especially with chat, when we go down a serious a topic. For those of you who have been in chat, I am incredibly interactive. I will stop whatever I am doing and we will talk. And 3/4 of a stream could be just talking about whatever. So we spend a lot of time. Mental health is one of the areas with my background that we talk when people have issues and challenges. I'll talk offline with them, continue that, especially when it starts going into personal issues. That's something you don't want in public, not necessarily. A lot of people want to keep that private. So a lot of one-on-ones on Discord, of course, happen to try to help people out there. But that's really what this old man is about. Nice.
That's awesome. We knew you would be perfect, the perfect vibe and the perfect human to highlight today. And that just shows that, extols that even more. Thank you guys. So we're going to jump into the questions now, and I'm going to let Druid lead the way. Lead the charge, madam.
Please share a boring fact about yourself.
The boring fact.
Mhm.
Okay. What is boring? Everything is boring. I'm an old man. Let's see. Boring. Okay. Here, a boring and irrelevant fact. I am a classically trained opera singer.
Okay. I
There
don't know
you
if
go.
that's boring, but it's
That's pretty boring because opera is not a lot of people are into opera. Let's be honest, especially the younger generation. Druid, a goddess, please. I can see it on your face already, but it's a almost a niche type of an audience that you perform for.
true. That is amazing. That's fantastic.
I love that so much.
That makes me now sometime want to come to your channel and see get a channel point redeemed to have you
Sing
sing.
for us. Sing something cool.
That's fantastic. So tell us a little bit deeper. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but how did you pick your Twitch name specifically? What was the inspiration?
Great question. It's actually a pretty funny story. Maybe not funny. Maybe this should have been my boring fact. My name actually came from my children. So I have 3 daughters. And the whole impetus to start streaming was also brought up by them. I used to do mini painting and playing video games like I think most people do. They're like, if you're doing that, you should stream. And, they were just going at it and at it. They're like, it's COVID world. We're all locked up. Just do it. I was like, oh, okay. And I'm hyper analytical. Like I have an entire spreadsheet with multiple pages of stats and information as to what to do to stream, how to stream, what hardware. And so I looked into it. And I was like, yeah, this isn't difficult to do. And we started down that road. And of course, challenge 1 is, what do you call yourself? And well, the Geras is easy. It's my name. So we use Geras. And then someone was like, man, you're really old. And I was like, okay, OldManGeras. There we go. We're just going to go with that. And so I went and I found that OldManGeras was available. It was going to be a Star Trek name, but that's a little tough right now. So we went with OldManGeras.
Right on. Thank you for sharing.
My goodness. I love hearing how people pick their Twitch name so much.
I agree.
It's one of my like softcore like favorite questions. What D&D class do you consider yourself to be in real life?
In real life? Oh, So that's interesting because I would normally have gone with a warlock, but warlocks are more that manipulation type of mystical energy, burn, not always for the best intents. And going through the classes now, I'm going core, of course. I would probably go with like a D&D, I would say a paladin, because I am the, this is my beliefs. This is what I hold to. I'm not going to force people into, well, maybe that's a cleric, right? You're not going to force people into it, but you know what you believe in, you know what you stand for, and that's you. That's what makes you you. I guess that is a paladin. Because a cleric is more, I'm going to convert you over.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I guess a pal would be paladin.
I could see both. It depends on how you play the paladin or the cleric, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it.
So yeah,
That's
somewhere between them. I was thinking, would it be like a sword pal? But no, not really. It would be just a straight pal.
Right on. I totally see it. I could also see a little bit of wizard in you if you consider that technology is the magic of today. I bet you know a lot about tech, and so I can sort of see a splash of wizard in you.
Tech is my thing. I've been involved with computers since, again, here comes the old man part, since the late 70s. Every PC I have, I've of course built. All of my kids have home built PCs, complete network. if it's technology, probably I've dabbled in it.
Yep.
And I could see that. The
You and I have that in
So-
common.
of wireless networking.
Mhm.
So now I have another person to add to my repertoire when I cannot figure out what to do. I have a new person to add to my list because I don't know tech.
She's not as tech unsavvy as she claims. She's way smarter with software than you would believe. Like she picks up software really fast. I found that interesting about her generation and like Starkitty's generation. They pick up software even faster. Like you and I, like you said, we built PCs for years, decades even, and it's really easy to understand hardware and putting it together. And yeah, we understand, operating systems and software and stuff, but man, the way they pick up apps and software and be able to figure out all the doodads that go on behind them, they pick it up so quick. It's amazing.
They do. But you know what the challenge is? If you take one of these away from them, they have a hard time. Where you and I know, hey, keyboard, we know commands. We
true.
know shortcuts.
That's right.
I
Give us a
don't.
control key and we know exactly what we need to do. We don't need a mouse.
Please don't take my mouse.
So, excuse me. Going down the same line of questioning, since obviously you are a long-term veteran of D&D like myself, it's interesting you said that you started in 81 because I also started in 81 and with Basic Expert, with BX. But I love talking to folks like myself who've been around for a while. And so our first question is, on this rabbit hole, as it were, do you prefer to be a player or a dungeon master?
If you had asked me this question 6 months ago, the answer would have been without a doubt dungeon master, because I've been a dungeon master since then.
Right.
6 months ago, though, a fellow streamer said, "Hey, we need a one shot." This was last November. I ran a one shot for them as a DM, of course, and they were like, "Hey, we're going to start a regular adventure. We have a spot open? We'd love for you to play." I was like, I haven't been on that side of the screen for decades, literally decades. And I was like, yeah, I'll try it. Why not? And absolutely fell back in love with how much fun it is to be on the opposite side of the screen and playing that.
Yeah.
Again, if you had asked me 6 months ago, the answer would be different. Now that I'm back in converting my world that I created back then to a 5th edition, though, I'm back on that DM spurt of, man, the creativity and what I can do. And mainly because the way that I DM is very different than standard DMs, which is kind of a fixed path with some variability around it.
Right.
I don't do that. So my worlds and my adventures are very open, and you can do whatever you want, and I have tables and things ready for that to happen.
Right.
It's very, and you know this from playing way back when, you had to be ready for everything.
Yep.
Right. Hey, we walk into the room, Orb of Annihilation drops and kills half your party. What do you do for the rest of the party? Right. And you have to be able to roll with that, or they disarm the trap that you were so sure they weren't going to be able to disarm, and it was going to set something else off. Going through that and having that is bringing back and doing this conversion. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember how to do this. This is great.
Yeah.
Right on. Thank you. That's awesome. That's what I suspected, but you did surprise me with the whole having recently played and falling in love with it again. But just real quick, who was it, if you can share, that you?
I can. They're actually the two people who I am a player with are in your chat right now, and that Goblets and Warlocks was the one who asked me to do the one shot and to become part of his Friday night campaign, and then Insomnia Night was also like, hey, we have an opening on our Thursday night campaign. You would be wonderful. Would you be willing to? So those are the two that I am currently playing in right now.
Right on. Right on. That's awesome.
So cool.
It is, and because of them, I got to meet you, the two of you.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's a win. I just say that's a win flat out for me.
100%.
We're so spoiled.
100%.
We are the spoiled ones. I
Yep.
just have to say.
Yep.
We're the spoiled ones. Please tell us about your favorite character and your favorite NPC that you have created for D&D.
Oh, favorite character that I've created and favorite NPC. Oh, okay. All right. Favorite character. Wow, you're making me go back. I've got to go over decades, literally, to think back on both of these. Favorite character. I mean, right now I'm playing two very distinct characters, and I'm going to say one of my favorite is, I guess it would be Lizetti. So I am playing a cleric in an adventure right now that is it's pretty hard to play with the backstory that I've created for her, and it's again challenging because I'm like, all right, I can't metagame with the knowledge that I have. I have to play with exactly how the dice roll,
Right.
and with only what I know. But right now, that is probably my favorite character. The complexity that I have around it, around her, is going to be my favorite. Though, I don't know, I had some really good ones back in the early 80s. I still have character sheets. I have one framed. Yvonne, that she, that's a tough one. You threw me off on this.
That's okay. So if
If
you
you
want to
guys skip your
stick
favorite
with her
character-
as one of
Okay.
your favorites, tell us
Yeah.
what
That
her
is.
race and class is.
So the for the one that I'm playing right now,
Yeah.
she's a human, and she is a human cleric.
Oh, you said that. I'm sorry. Can you tell us like what's her subclass or whatnot? What's her tell us about her.
So right now, we haven't even made it to subclasses yet. So she's straight up cleric, so low level at this point. But what I've done with her is her backstory. So this is set in the world where the gods are believed to have left. She believes in a god called Syrian, who is the god of Druid. You'll love this. The god of rebirth in nature. And the method of rebirth is fire. Fire is all cleansing, all purifying, and will burn away all evils. And you will grow with that. The complexity that I have with that character is what's making it a fun character to play. So her mannerisms are very much, I'm a cleric of the god. The gods still exist. Syrian exists. I don't care about the other gods. And if you're doing something wrong, you need to be purified. Sounds pretty straightforward.
Wow.
The challenge, the huge challenge that I have with it is there is a weakness for children, which is great. And I didn't expect this. And I don't think Insomnia Knight, who's a DM, expected this. There was, in one of the cities that we were in, one of the villages, there were a group of orphans. And they're orphaned. They're children, no parents.
Yep.
And so now it's completely changed her because now he needs to protect and take care of them. But she's a cleric. So to protect and take care of them really means she needs to make them believers in Syrian and make them followers and make them clerics and everything beneath that, God who will protect her, right? And there's the complexity.
Yep.
I love it.
So that's where it is with her. And again, the backstory is just so built into that. I am playing, my other character that I'm playing is a dwarf barbarian is what he's playing. And I didn't go the standard, hey, let's min-max him. Let's get in and take the path of the talisman because that's the right path. And that's going to be able to go and break the game. I did Path of Wild Magic with that barbarian. And that's, every time he rages, I'm rolling a D8 on stream, and hey, that's what happens. We're going to go with it. It's good, bad. Typically not really good for him. Doesn't really help, or sometimes it explodes in his face, literally. But that's it. And
awesome.
he's got some anger issues because as a dwarf, he's been kind of exiled from his clan because of his rage issues, and his rage issues stem from the fact that his beard never grew, like a dwarf's beard should grow.
Poor dwarf.
So, right. So he was treated as a child, even within his clan, right down there, and he was bullied. And, when he would go out, he would just rage. And that's where the wild magic came from. And then he's been shunned because of that, but he doesn't acknowledge magic. I mean, there's so much complexity, even around that character that I've built on there.
I love it.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And I'm looking at your chat. Goblets and Warlocks. This is the DM for that. Made a good call. When he was introduced to the party, he was not at the beginning of the party. He came in, I think, like episode 3. He died. He pretty much died. He was turning into stone, and had one turn left. Like, that was his intro.
Whoa.
He came in to warn them, and a draconian exploded with petrify, and he breathed it in, and he was literally turning to stone. He was on his final death save when one of the wizards remembered a spell and rolled perfectly. Like, they needed to roll, I think it was, I don't know, DC 17, and they rolled an 18 to remember it and was able to save him. Otherwise, it would have been like, I tear the sheet up right there. Hi, great playing with you guys in less than 5 minutes.
Rolls happen.
Imagine.
Rolls happen. Yeah. Last night, I was playing my Iron Man permadeath Daggerfall run, and we lost 10 weeks worth of work. Died just out of nowhere because bad rolls happen. So
bad rolls happen. That's exactly it.
So please tell us about your oldest D&D campaign from 81 that you're converting to 5e. If you could just kind of summarize briefly, what that world is about, and what inspired you to convert it to 5e, and how hard is that? Tell us what you want to tell us about that.
I'm so excited about this.
Me too.
Okay. So the world that I'm creating, first I will start by saying I'm Hispanic. So my parents are from Puerto Rico. My grandparents are from Puerto Rico, and then my great grandparents are from Spain.
Oh, cool.
Which I think is pretty standard for most of us. My world is the actual island of Puerto Rico.
Oh, wow.
So the shape of it from the 1700s, though. So I've taken the original shape of it. And the world is set on, you have 5 different explorers, groups of non-indigenous people, the Taino, who are on the island for their own reasons. One is military campaign. They're going to go and they're going to take over the island for military purposes because it's strategically placed. Another one is the religious. Think of it like the religious caste from like Babylon 5, the military caste. They're there to convert the lost souls who are on the islands. Another one is the pirates. It's out in the middle of the Caribbean, pirates of the not movie Caribbean. And they're on the opposite end of the island. They're against the military, right? Because this is a great strategic place for them. And then you have the quote unquote established government who are there, the Spaniards, the equivalent of that, who are there. So and this goes back to when I DM, I don't say, oh, you start off in a tavern and you all go down on this adventure. The players can start in any place. I have no control over where they decide they go. They're going to be on the mainland, and they're going to be like, everybody is hiring. Where do you want to go? Wherever they decide to go, that's where the adventure continues. And then their actions that they have there actually impact it. So think of it like a living world, because what they do will impact things on the island. Now they can choose, let's say they go with the military, and they choose they're going to go and work with the military and conquer the island because, they want to be landowners and take over that. They can do that. They can go and they can decide, you know what, the military is wrong. We're going to turn on the military and help the locals. They can do that. They can go on their own. They can go to the pirates and betray. There's so much that's involved in it. The deities are based on the actual legends from the island. And I have it right here. I went and picked up a new printing of the original source book, which is all in Spanish. And it's the legends, the Puerto Rican legends from the indigenous people who were there.
Whoa.
Which includes all the creatures, the stories that they use and they believe in, that the Taino actually do. So that's what I'm converting over into 5th edition.
That's amazing. That's freaking amazing. I did something similar, but not quite as in depth as that in the past. I once did a Greek campaign, and I did a deep dive into the lore, into ancient Greece, Greek mythology, the island of Greece, just very similar, but obviously not quite as deep of a dive. And so I just appreciate the amount of depth and work that goes into that, and the attention to detail to add in the elements from actual mythology and potentially historical elements. It's a unique kind of D&D experience, and it was one of Starkitty's favorite campaigns that I did. So
I think that's so cool. I think it's really cool because you have so much that you can work with, and it's so different than most of what D&D lore is based off of.
Right.
So it's really awesome to be able to. Oh, that's so cool. I love history and mythologies and stuff like that, and that is so cool.
I can't wait to see your finished
It's interesting
product
because
unfold.
I have to change it. Right, because it is D&D, so it's not just everyone's humans, and it's humans against humans. And so, and we were talking about this on the last stream. We had a couple of people who were like, "Well, what are the races? How do they interact? How do they see each other?" Because there are elves and dwarves and Ganassi. Right? It's an island. Water Ganassi are going to be there.
Sure.
And then again, going with the history and the mythos and legends of the island, the center of the island is a holy place, and the deities that the Taino and people from Puerto Rico believe in are there. That's their place to protect the island. But in D&D, you can't fight deities, right? As much as we want to say that. And when I was going through my original material, I had made it where it was, back in the 80s, you go through a dungeon, you fight a dragon. So we changed that up. And I let chat decide, actually, as to, well, instead of dragons, what should we fight in there? What should we replace that? And chat came up with and I think it was because of Baldur's Gate 3, but they were like, it should be illithids. Put them in there, which are mind flayers,
right?
Are illithids. So make them the big baddies. Now, so you know what? That would fit perfectly, right? Because with the deities in the center of the island, it's the barrier between planes is at its weakest, and they would absolutely be able to do that. So I've started working on how do we bring them into the island? How do we bring those into the mythos that we have for that island, and how's the interaction? And so that's actually where we're at right now, is figuring that aspect out. And then how, this is where it's going to get difficult, because I've changed it. How do the adventurers get into there? And what are they there for? I already have 7 different plot hooks and 7 different missions that they could be going into, whether it's getting a holy relic, freeing some elders from a village. They find the Gith, they were the race that were slaves to the mind flayers. And there's an uprising, and they're going to help them to try to overthrow and get rid of them, to actually finding that there is... So mind flayers are, they spawn out of tadpoles, and they grow, and finding that there's been a corruption in one of the pools of tadpoles, and it's killing the illithid colony, which would be a good thing, except what's strong enough to kill an illithid? That's probably worse, and maybe they have to go and take that on. So a lot of, coqui tadpole. That's exactly, you see, somebody knows here.
I love it.
Coquis are a local frog on the island. But so Man, Never Tilt is like on top. Atabe, yes, it is about Atabe. You are correct.
Yeah. Well, Never Tilted was saying earlier in chat that he's also,
Hispanic.
yeah.
Puerto Rican?
Yep, Puerto Rican.
And Puerto Rican.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Right on. So,
Excellent.
wow. I
Puerto
love this
Rican.
next question that you get.
Boricua.
For
I
him.
get it. Yeah. So that is exactly that's the island. And now, again, I'm converting it over.
Yeah.
The world has opened up a little bit now. The D&D world has opened up, so we have more options. And some things don't work.
Yeah.
That we used to do in basic or expert level, right? We're used to traps, and everything is going to kill us. Every single thing is going to kill us.
Right.
Nowadays, it's not like that.
Right.
Nowadays, everybody has tricks, and they can, I'm going to do a cantrip, and it's going to do this, and then I'd use my action, bonus action, move action, right? You have all of these other things that you can do. So a lot of the struggle is, well, okay, in this conversion, this is no longer challenging.
Right.
Or this is still too challenging. And I joke about an orb of annihilation. I did have that in there. That is an orb that you really can't do anything about.
Yeah.
And if you put something in it, it's gone forever. There is no retrieving it. There is no lesser restoration that you can cast on it. So if somebody puts their arm in it, their arm is gone completely. And so the traps have to be reworked. Some of the dungeons and maps need to be redone on there. I'm not going to make it as easy as people would think 5th edition is, because that's no fun. I like having that challenge in there. You're not just going to, there's the BBEG in the room where we're going to just spread out. We're all going to rush in and we're going to cast spells. Okay, well, guess what? It's a null magic zone. No magic works at all in this zone. What you going to do now?
I don't know. I have no idea what I'm going to do. I guess I'm going to go turn into a spider and climb up the wall. I have no idea what that's like.
Love her sarcasm. That's exactly what happened in our campaign.
But there's, and then I have my own elements in it. So and Druid, this as an old player, there are things that can carry over and affect it in the environment. And I have cursed areas of the island where the longer you spend in there, the more you as a player, your character is cursed and things start happening, right? They're fighting something, but it's in this cursed area because it's a couple of undeads or something is there. But they've been in there for 3 days now. And their hair is starting to fall out. Right. So their charisma is dropping, has dropped a point. But all of a sudden, their vision is better at nighttime. Do they stay in there and keep seeing what's going to happen, or do they not? And try to get cured because their charisma's down, and they were a bard, and they had an 18 charisma. Now my hair's falling out in clumps. I'm down to 16.
Oh, no.
But I'm getting, some kind of night vision that I didn't have before. Or I have an innate ability. I can do spider climb without a spell because these legions are growing in my hands and they're able to hold on to the wall as I climb up. So you got to balance it.
Yeah.
So I love this next question that you get to ask, Druid. I'm really looking forward.
I know that I'm actually super looking forward to this.
Yeah.
Because I'm a baby D&Der. This is my very first campaign is being live streamed on Twitch right now. So I love getting advice and hearing people's perspective. What is the most fulfilling aspect about role-playing deeply in a character for you when you play D&D?
Believing the character. So every one of my characters that I'm running now, and even in the past, I spent probably too much time doing a backstory. And with a backstory comes weaknesses. What am I bad at? What don't I like? Why am I doing? What's my motivation in the actors lingo, right? What motivates me into this role? And bringing that and making that realistic. Not, my family was killed by goblin raiders, and so I hate all goblins. All right, that's okay, but why did the goblins come after your parents? Was it personal? Were they just in the village that was supposed to be paying tribute and they didn't pay and they thought they were going to fight. Were they set up, and was it they were there to draw the goblins out so that the army could go around, and so they were bait, right? What actually makes that character that? So for me, and I encourage people, when you go to roll a character, before you even start looking at, whether it's D&D Beyond or sheet of paper and you're working with your DM on it, think about, what do you want? What is going to drive that person? You might not have a very detailed idea, but you start with that. And then you start building on that. And then as you're rolling your characters, let those ideas say, well, I would take this feat, or I would take this path, or this weapon, and here's why, and make it part of you. So that when you are playing that character, you're not just a person playing, I'm not just a person playing Lizetti or Belram. I actually am that person.
Right.
So I am completely in that role, and my actions, even though there are times where I almost did I almost wiped out my party on it, and it hurt me, Garrus, but Belram wouldn't know. He's in a rage. Belram's just swinging away with his two hammers because they're the enemy, and he's got to smash them and kill them.
Yep.
So having that immersion is for me the biggest part. Otherwise, you're just rolling dice.
I love it.
Yep. I love the art. For me, the RP aspect of D&D is my absolute favorite. I love it so much.
It was so much fun developing you guys' characters with you when we got started, and can't wait for the next season. But we're here for OldManGeras, so let's move on to the next one. This is a cool one. I would love to know. As a multi-decade veteran of D&D, what is your favorite edition?
I'm going to go with basic and expert.
Ooh, nice.
Third was pretty good. Third books were good. Third playing, not so much. But we received a lot of good information that still can be used in current. But basic, I mean, that's where it all started. I still have chainmail material, and I played chainmail. It's been so long, though, I would have to read through them again to be like, what did we do different in there?
Yeah.
But with basic, the whole introduction into it was just mind-blowing. As complex or as simple as we thought it was, it really set the standard to where we are right now. My least favorite, honestly, I think 5th edition is too fast. It is.
You think 5th edition is worse than 4th?
And what's that?
You think 5th edition is worse than 4th edition?
Yeah, see, I struggle with that. 4th edition, I almost hate to acknowledge it existed, right? We all do.
Yeah.
It should not have been there.
Yep.
It's like one of the Highlander movies that people say exist, but it doesn't. It shouldn't be there. 5th is just, and WotC said this when they were talking about 5th edition. They wanted to make it a faster game.
Yeah.
And they wanted it so that new players who are used to video games where things move at a much faster pace, the game would flow that way.
Yeah.
And while you as a DM, Stormy, you run it at a great pace, right? There is RPing. It's not just from one combat to a long rest to another combat to a long rest to another combat, right? A lot of people do that, and the game works well for that, but it's not D&D.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It really isn't. When I run my campaign, my world, we keep track of time. So if you're going to do a long rest, well, that's 8 hours. Are you just going to lie down in the middle of a dungeon and you think you're going to be safe for 8 hours and nothing's going to interrupt that? Guarantee it's not going to happen.
Yep.
I have a table you're going to roll. You better get to a safe space. Wait, it's only been 20 minutes because you had this one combat after you got up and broke camp. Are you really going to try to take a long nap, at 9:20 in the morning when you got up? And then you're going to be up and it's nighttime and you're going to keep going at night, right?
Yeah.
It's tough. Yep.
Yeah.
I love it.
Love it. All right. We're getting to the Twitch questions.
Okay.
What drew you to Twitch?
My kids. Well, as a streamer, or
Yeah.
what drew me to Twitch, period?
Well, both.
Both. Yeah.
Okay. So as a streamer, my kids did. So again, they're all older. I shouldn't. Yeah, they're all older. I'll just say that they're all out of college. How's that? And they were just like, "Hey, you're doing it. We're all locked up at home because of the fear of COVID. So why don't you just go on and do it? And you're already watching some of your friends. So here's why what got me into Twitch. We're already watching your friends doing mini painting. Why don't you just turn on the camera and do it?" And that's what started it. It was going to be mini painting. My original intro, if you go to the Wayback Machine and look, was focused on painting miniatures. Warhammer specifically, but I also had a 3D printer, so also models that way. I can tell you I've done mini painting a total of 3 times in the 2.5 years that I've been on Twitch. And the rest has been a lot of talk, a lot of talking, and just D&D and video games, and No Man's Sky primarily.
Right on.
Yeah.
So you sort of have already touched on this because it was family that pushed you into it. But what did family and friends think when you told them that you planned on streaming?
So my family was pretty good, and I don't know if you know this. I do a podcast with another streamer, and we had an entire 2 weeks where we focused on communication and our experiences with it, especially when you decide you want to stream. And I used my experiences with that because my immediate family was open to it. They were like, "Okay, yeah, that's fine. From 8 p.m. until whenever you stop, you're going to be locked in the office. The door's going to be closed. We're going to hear you talking, but there's a camera and a microphone, and you're doing something." Right. So that was okay. Parents, they, as expected, older generation were like, "So you're going to be playing games on a camera?" Yes, that right. You have to summarize and try to make it easy, and like, yeah, and talking to people. And they kind of got that, right? They don't understand Twitch, but they understand you're going to be talking to people and playing video games. So that was the approach on it. Friends, I actually haven't really told many of them because I've purposely, I see Twitch as it's not a business, but I see it as a business and how I approach it. And I like to keep personal and business separate. So I can tell you, out of all my followers, I think 2 people, maybe 3 people are from my local gaming store. And that's about it.
Right on.
The other 1,100 are people from Twitch, not people that I know in person.
Yeah. I love
But communication, I'll just say communication, having to be clear with your family, it's so critical.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm also very fortunate as well. My mom's very good about you're going online today, right? It's at this time? And I'm like, "Yes." Yes, Mom. It's very cute. What struggles did you deal with when you first started streaming?
Impulse control and time management. So I'll start with the easy one, time management. And actually, before I go into them, I'll step back. When I say that I was hypercritical and determining everything that needs to happen before I go live, I really do mean that. I can show you a spreadsheet that you'll be like, "Oh my God, why would you go through all that?" And one of I said I'll focus on time management first. One of the areas that I didn't realize or didn't do enough research was the impact of breaking your own schedule. Not the start and stop time, but I usually run until 12:30 Eastern time, a.m. Eastern. But there were times where, hey, we just got rated and we know what this is like. Got rated, I'm going to stay a little bit longer. Got rated, going to stay a little longer. And you stay longer and you get rated again. And you stay a little bit longer and you get rated again. And we went through what made me realize this is bad time management was I did a 21-hour stream because of multiple raids. For one game that I was playing was my first time playing it. Very active community. It was great. And, you know, we had 1,300 people raid in on one of them because they were having some drop weekend, I think it was.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And so I kept going. And then, you know, now you're at the top of the Twitch board. So people are going to go and check you out. So we kept getting rated. And then I did a 13-hour the next day.
Ouch.
And that killed me. I am Druid. You could probably do it. I can't. I'm too old for this. Okay.
I'm a
Stormy.
I'm a
Sleep
sprinter.
is good, right?
I'm a sprinter. I'm not a marathoner.
Sleep is a good thing.
Yeah.
And at the end of that second day, I was like, I can't do this again. And I went into let me see what happened. What went wrong? Or why did I do it? And so that was the first part. And I realized, hey, if they raid you, that's great. You still acknowledge the raid to people who are coming in there. It's okay to take another 5 or 10 minutes, but you still need to cut it off because you've made the commitment to your regular people. This is when you end. They have lives also, and I need sleep because I start work at 6 in the morning, which means I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So that was number one. The other one I said was the impulse control, and impulse control for me was when I started to get some success on Twitch. I am very much don't spend money. I am old. You work too hard for your money. When you're starting, use what you have. Don't go out there and buy that $1,300 camera and that $700 microphone and XLR device and a Steam Deck. And because there's always an right? You always need something else, something the greatest thing ever. And so when I started being successful, I used my iPhone as my microphone. I bought a Siren Mini microphone, which was $50 on Amazon. And it's a USB microphone. And I used a pair of headphones. That's it. So I went live with that. When I hit affiliate, I was like, holy cow, that was easy. It's been like 3 weeks. Now I can get subs, right? Everybody thinks, oh, I can get subs. I'm going to make lots of money. And I started making some money. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go and I'm going to buy this. And I'm going to buy that. And I'm going to buy a green screen. I'm going to buy a Steam Deck. And that control is no, you know what? Don't do that. And I tell people, wait a year and see where you are. Because if you start spending that money a year down the road, you might be like, I'm burned out because I've done so much. And now I have spent $1,000, $1,500 on stuff that is absolutely worthless to me going forward. And I can't do anything with it.
Yep.
Before you do that, before you spend money, make sure it's the right thing. The light that I have is, and I still use it to this day, it is a $30 Amazon light. $30 light.
Yep.
Okay. Little cheap old remote right here. That does it. Lets me change the temperature and the brightness. That's it. This green screen that I'm running back here, it's a $28 green screen. Would I love to have an Elgato $200 or $180 green screen? Absolutely. Not on my budget.
Yep.
Not going to happen. Right?
Yeah.
No Steam Deck. Just the only thing I've done is I've upgraded my microphone.
Right. So you kind of already touched on this, but maybe you can elaborate a little bit more. What tips can you share to future streamers?
Oh, we don't have that much time, do we?
How about pick one tip then?
Don't spend money. I'm very serious. Communication with your family if you're going to do it. Be incredibly active with your chat. You have to be active with your chat.
Agreed.
You're going on Twitch to interact with people. Why aren't you interacting with people? Interact with people, right? That's why you're here. It's not to play your game. You're playing the games already. You're already playing, whether it's Call of Duty or Minecraft or whatever games. You're here to talk to people. So talk to them when they're in your chat. Number one rule, right there.
Gotcha.
And did I say don't spend money? I don't think I said that enough, did I? And talk, build up that network and community. Don't fall into the Reddit and I guess it's not YouTube, but the Reddit trap. Oh, if you follow me, I'll follow you. That doesn't work. It'll come naturally. Be consistent. People will come to you. Mm-hmm. Stay with the game. Don't keep changing your categories on Twitch. Find something you like. Feel something you love. I started with Stardew Valley. I can talk hours about Stardew Valley and what a fantastic game it is. Mm-hmm. I've played No Man's Sky since the launch days on my PlayStation. On stream, I have my original disc that's never been patched. Every once in a while, we'll put it in the PlayStation and we'll play that. I'll show the differences and I'll talk. I spend hours talking about No Man's Sky with people. Mm-hmm. And it's always about the people. We do community nights. I talk to other streamers. They know what I do. I know what they do. Mm-hmm. Build that up. Go with people who are like you.
Yep. Your vibe attracts your tribe, as Daddy Dagoth likes to say.
Yep.
What do you enjoy most about streaming?
The people. That's an easy one. Maybe I should have thought about that one, but I'm going to say the people in chat.
Agreed.
I mean, I'm struggling right now because I have the chat window here and I see Ghost Reaper, Goblets, Insomnia, Rusty, right? And I'm like, I can't. I'm talking to the two of you, and I'm like, I just want to look over. Let me see what they're saying. But I know you guys have it.
I have it up too. No, the Q&A part is always very fun at the end.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, look, I'm looking
at
Insomnia Night dad jokes. Yeah, I do a lot of dad jokes on the stream. I have channel point redemptions and triggers on dad jokes with text to speech in place. Remember that bot I was telling you about, streamer bot? Automatically built in there where people, there you go, you got it. Where dad jokes are a big part of it, right? I'm old. Dad jokes have to be.
I have to pretend like I hate them so my husband keeps saying them. So
Exactly.
Oh no,
she gets
not another dad joke.
Not another one. Oh my God.
So switching gears a little bit here, how long have you been playing video games specifically, and what was the first one you ever played?
19, oh my. I mean, I remember Pong. And it would probably have been Pong back then. Though Lunar Lander that was like 83. I want to say that was like 82, 83 when I started programming and reprogramming Lunar Lander. It was probably Pong. And it would have been, first time I touched a computer. 1978, maybe? 77, 78? Mm-hmm. VAX, mainframe.
Yep.
Well, VAX was a mini frame at that point. But yeah. Druid's like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Another thing you and I have in common. I once went to a computer camp that my folks sent me to, and we got to learn to program BASIC on a VAX.
Oh, you really? VAX? That is fantastic.
Yep. And my first experience with a computer was a Trash 80, and I programmed a text-based adventure on that.
we all did, right?
Right.
Line 10. Okay, echo off. Line 20. Oh, wait, I need line 11 in there somewhere.
I can't believe you still remember those.
Absolutely. Oh, are you kidding me?
Oh, man. Oh, I love that. Though I have no idea, I just love listening to people nerd out. Like, it's my favorite. It is my favorite. What is your favorite game and your least favorite game that you've played on Twitch?
Favorite? Oh, wow. So that's favorite game. I don't want to say No Man's Sky because that's a love-hate relationship with them. Favorite game that I love to play on stream. Yeah, probably Stardew Valley. Just
Roger.
the story and the character development around that and being able to talk about Stardew Valley. Would that be my favorite? I don't know. I'm on like a Darkest Dungeon thing right now again.
Oh, nice. That's a good one.
I'm looking at my desktop because I'm like, what do I have installed? I mean, I've got Path of Exile has my heart pretty hard. And yeah, Darkest Dungeon is right there, right under Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition. Not that anyone's ever heard of that, right, Stormy?
Oh, are you kidding? I think even this circle knows that game.
Oh my goodness! But yeah, that's it. And my least favorite that I've played.
On stream.
What have I played on stream that I don't like? Wow, I'm going to upset some people on this answer that are in chat because they use a channel redemption to buy it for me and play it with me. My least favorite, not that I hate it.
Yeah,
but
that's a strong word.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
My least favorite to play on stream, that was the question that I was asked, would be Space Engineers. And the reason for that is I can tell you the game is fantastic. I've seen it. I've watched other streamers. I know a number of friends who are fantastic with it. The challenge with it is, or for me personally, I played the tutorial on stream to learn the game because I thought, hey, that's the right way to learn a game. The tutorial was never updated with the game. The game is something like 10 years old. The tutorial was like from year number 2, and it never was updated to any mechanics or anything in the game. Wow. So I finished the tutorial, I went to play the game, and it's like, oh no, everything is completely different. Everything you learned, none of it works.
Wow.
Literally none of it works. Those key mappings that you did in tutorial, they do something completely different in the game now. And we tried it for 3 or 4 hours. And I was just like, yeah, we're not doing it. Sorry.
She's harding.
Haven't touched it since.
I'm sorry, I just have to acknowledge the raid. Thank you for the raid.
Oh, a raid.
And here comes Van, who is one of those. Hey, Van.
Hi, Van.
It's an honor to have you all. Thank you.
Yeah, totally not setting me up. Yeah, bully Garrus. Thanks, Van.
So, we're super curious. Stuart and I are super curious about this. What did you do when you worked for the WWE Pro Wrestling Group?
Who?
Told you we did research.
Okay. Well, so I was not a wrestler. I was in their publications department. I was a photographer for them. So my job was, I wasn't in the crew to go out in the open area, a lot of backstage photography, a lot inside of the studio, a lot of road, a lot of travel, lots of travel.
Yeah.
Right on. Great answer. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, we were curious about
And
that.
now I'm like, where did they even, I think I even got rid of that from my LinkedIn. Well, you wouldn't, I guess there's probably not a lot of Garruses out there. I don't know. I'm like, how did that even come up?
we have
inside
our
sources.
ways.
We have sources, even though he just totally, he said in chat,
He outed himself,
he outed himself.
All right.
I didn't even know I had told you that. Oh my gosh, Julia. The internet never forgets, huh?
That's right.
Nope. What other TTRPG games are you thinking about trying out on stream?
So, fantastic question, because I'm also in the midst of creating 2 other campaigns. One is, you probably never heard of this or have any idea, Star Trek. So
I
Star
don't
Trek
know. What
Adventures
is
by
that?
Modifius. It's a 2D20 system. I am working on that right now and getting that set up. And then Aliens RPG is the other one, which is by Free League Press.
Right on.
So getting that also set up so that we'll be running that.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Speaking of Star Trek, of course we noticed the green screen is straight up from classic Star Trek. I love it. It's awesome.
Captain Kirk's
good.
quarters.
It is so good.
So, what on this same topic? What other space adventure video games have you played besides No Man's Sky on your stream?
On stream, Space Adventures. So Elite Dangerous
Nice.
would be the first one that jumps to mind. I don't know if Warframe would be considered a space adventure type game, but you're in outer space.
Where you're flying spaceships
and there's
is what I was
adventures.
thinking when I made the question. So, yeah, the first one was a perfect answer. Out of curiosity, have you ever played Wing Commander Privateer?
I have played all the Wing Commander games, yes.
Right on. Privateer was my
Absolutely,
favorite.
of course.
Love that game. Love that game. Right on. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Druid, with yours.
I know where you were going with that. I know where you were going with that.
All right, we're winding down to the last few questions. So these tend to be the most serious questions of the stream.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. 100%.
What's your favorite color? And why is it blue?
Because I don't want to get thrown off the bridge by the night.
Just gonna walk away from that color. Of course, BT's just, all right. What is the weirdest sleeping dream you have ever had?
Ooh.
That you're willing to
Weirdest
share?
Sleeping dream, not an awake dream, a sleeping dream. So I don't remember my dreams. I'm sure I do dream, but I don't have a great recollection of them.
Another one to add to
Do
my
you have
small
any
little niche
you
community.
recall from your past when you were younger?
Yeah, just let me. I mean, I've had strange dreams that are based on like old sci-fi movies. So one that I remember some of the details. I don't remember what it was all about. But there's an old show from the 70s called Space 1999 that, was set on, it was moon base that humans were up there and we had these great ships that we could fly around in. And then, things happen. We're blasted. The moon is blown away and lots happen. I remember having a dream about being on one of the ships, the Eagle One, when that happens, and somehow ending up in a fight with it. It's weird again. It's the whole Star Trek thing, but it was being commanded by, and now I'm going really down a real dark rabbit hole. It was commanded by, there was a show called The Greatest American Hero. That you remember it? Okay,
of course.
Good.
William Catt is one of my. I based Rylar off of William Catt from The Greatest American Hero.
Oh my gosh! But he was in command of it.
That's awesome.
I can't believe you. I'm so psyched that somebody actually gets that and knows that.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I big fan of William Catt. I think he's awesome. And Rylar is a mixture of him and Forrest Gump. So, but right on. Thank you for sharing about your dreams.
That is beautiful.
If you could be any superhero from a comic book, which one would you be and why?
Batman.
Okay.
Because I'm Batman.
Because you're Batman. Okay.
No, the complexity of the Batman backstory, and the fact that because his parents were killed, he refuses to kill. or use firearms or honestly, any kind of deadly weapon other than, his vehicles and fists, right? But still believes in the justice system and in the fact that no matter how bad you are, you can still rehab someone. You can still help them and they might get better. That's a huge, and Batman's always been like my number one out of it.
Right on. Fair enough.
I love that.
Very cool. Thank
Same
you.
with my husband.
Yeah.
My husband does this particular Batman voice that I also have to pretend like I hate, so he keeps doing it. So I love that. All right, final question. Cupcakes or cookies, which is superior?
Cookies.
Cookies.
I can't dunk my cupcakes in coffee or milk or
I don't know. Have you ever
anything like
tried?
that.
Cupcakes might be okay in coffee.
It's just going to fall apart if you try to dunk them. Have you gone to Dunkin' Donuts and tried to, take a cupcake and put it inside your coffee?
That's a good point. It's kind of awkward.
Yep.
Now, so you should add donuts in the mix, right? Make it like pick one of the three.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, then it would be too complicated. But thank you for
Right.
that.
If I were thinking of, I'm going to complicate it. If it had to be a dunkable thing, I would go for one of those just classic plain, like old fashioned sour cream cake donuts.
Hands down. Dunkin'
Hands
sour cream
down.
donuts, old fashioned, all wheat inside there with a cup of classic coffee. Cannot beat it.
Now,
How
damn
do
it, you
you
guys
take your
now want a
coffee?
donut.
Black.
That's mean.
Nothing in it. Straight up. Exactly.
Straight
Wow,
up.
you
You
drink
can't
it
tell.
all?
There's
I don't add
droplets.
anything. If you have to add something to coffee, then it's not good coffee.
Interesting.
Enjoy the flavor of the coffee bean.
Well.
Yeah, but what's your favorite roast? You have a preference of the roast?
I mean, I do like a good dark roast. I have been trying a honey roast, a lighter type roast.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't. It tastes good. It's like a good afternoon coffee, like 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a good coffee. But for me, I just, and in Puerto Rico, we have a lot of coffees that we grow down there. That's very dark and
Yes.
strong.
I love South American blend coffees. My personal preference is like a medium to dark roast. I have a really hard time with blonde roast because I'm not that big of a fan of like the floral notes. I like more of like the warmer, heavier, like cocoa, cinnamon, those kind of tones. So
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Here we're at the sorry, I have to cut off because otherwise she'll go off on a coffee tangent. She can't help herself. As a barista, it's in her blood, and she's not just any barista. She's a master barista. So
I'm actually a coffee master barista, but
so amazing interview, OldManGeras. To all of our folks out there, we're just now sharing his link for his Twitch, and make sure you check his About section for all of his other social media links. We got to support amazing folks like OldManGeras, a lovely human being, brilliant, wonderful gamer, both for video games and TTRPGs, obviously. Man after my own heart. So guys, gotta give him all the biddies and all the subs. Gonna take good care of this man.
all of them.
We got to boost him up and support folks like OldManGeras to make Twitch a better place, right?
100%. Now we are to the portion of the interview where we are now open up the floor. So chat, if you have any questions for OldManGeras, please start throwing them into chat now. Also, OldManGeras, if you have any questions for us, feel free. Now is the time.
Feel free
This
to
is
throw
just
it
now
out there.
an open floor.
I love what Insomnia. Before you're saying, I want to. Insomnia says, "Follow Garrus, or I will send Druid to your house singing the song that never ends."
This is a song
I approve of this.
That never ends. Oh, yeah.
I'll even do it in Fern voice, so it's extra
Oh
annoying.
my God, that's awesome.
I interrupted you, OldManGeras. You were about to say or ask something.
No, I was going to say, let chat go first. I will come in at the end.
Okay. Looks like Ghost Reaper has the next question. What is one of your most memorable moments in any campaign that you have been the dungeon master for?
That I've been the DM for.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Let's see. Most memorable moment. Oh, is that a good one? Oh, wow. No, I think I'm going to go with the PK one. Okay. So we were doing a run through another custom dungeon that I had built. And I want to say this had to probably be second edition that we were running this in.
Uh-huh.
So the party goes in and the rogue rolls to check for traps because that's what you do. And I did the standard, you believe it's clear to proceed.
Yeah.
And so they go into the room and they set off the trap because they thought it was clear. It wasn't. The bad guy, the BBEG, decides that this is, I'm going to come out here. One of the things that I do is I have a random table that I roll against. I roll a D100 a lot. And he showed up because of that. And he was going to absolutely obliterate them. They survive the traps and start fighting him unprepared. And he wipes the party. But they're hitting him. They're just absolutely doing some great damage over to him. Mm-hmm. He drops all of the party. He was about to drop the last party member, and the last party member cast a spell, and I'm trying to think what it was. It was probably something like Fireball back then, but all I remember is they cast the spell just as their hit points dropped to 0, and it killed the BBEG at the same time. So while everybody died, they actually killed the boss with their the fight. He had to be at, 3 hit points, maybe 4 hit points, because they had taken poison damage and he was going to go out, and he was able to kill it with his last attack.
Wow, that's awesome. That's a great story.
Wild. I would literally sob at the table if I was one of the players. That is so wild.
Now, I've done worse things to players to actually. I did. I remember this. I did one thing that we broke the party. We couldn't continue that day, and it was I think I've seen a meme about it last year or sometime in the past. But it was they were fighting some enemies, whatever, and they went to loot the bodies because what do you do when you kill something? You loot it. Of course. And they found a note from the child to the father that they had just killed. And they found a picture that the child had drawn of the dad and the child over a gravesite with mom written on it. And they killed the dad, who was the last survivor, right? Who was there to help the child.
Yeah. Oh.
Moral dilemmas, ethical dilemmas. Those are the things that sometimes it makes for a memorable, unforgettable D&D adventure.
Yeah, they couldn't recover because I had more details about it, right? They found more information right there while they were looting. And this group of beings that they killed were actually just hunters who were out looking for food to feed their families that had been displaced because of the war that had been going on. So it just we literally could not continue. The party was so upset over what happened right there. Yeah. They were like, yeah, we can't keep playing today.
Yep. All right, I need to ask this before it gets lost in chat. Banana Tom asks, what did you main in Warframe?
What did I main? Octavia was one of my favorite. My kids loved Octavia. Octavia is a suit that uses, here's weird, you wouldn't believe it, uses music to control and do damage to the enemies.
Oh, cool.
And with that Warframe, you could actually create music in the game and use it in there so that it would play in the game. And if it's multiplayer, they can also hear the same music.
What?
And it would use like a rolling disco ball to play that music and throwing off disco lights, and the enemies would all go to it, and then it would explode at the end and, damage the enemies.
That sounds
hopefully
amazing.
killing them.
Now I want to play that game. I didn't know that was a thing.
Octavia was one of my favorites.
So Vanithgar asks,
Oh no.
when is Garrus going to play VTM on stream? What is VTM?
Vampire the Masquerade is what I'm
Vampire,
assuming.
of course.
Van.
Vampire the Masquerade. I love Vampire. Oh my God.
Thank you, Van. So when am I going to play Vampire the Masquerade? I can put it on stream. We can do that. I did not know. Wait, do you want me to play or run a vampire game? Because that's two different things.
Yeah.
If you're looking for me to be an ST on it, right, as opposed to being a player.
Both question?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to throw that back at Van. And
Okay.
I know Van, obviously.
Back to Van.
Back to Van.
I think the next one is from Goblets and Warlocks.
Yeah. Goblets and Warlocks asks, what was the highest level you played to, either as a DM or as a player?
It's a great question. I like that one. We're going to steal that for the future.
I don't think I've ever maxed out a player. I've retired players before they hit the max level. But as a player, I don't think I've ever hit the what's 20, level 20 right now in 5th ed, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I've and I don't think my characters ever will. Frankly. Yeah, so what would be the highest? That's a good question. I don't know. I would have to look through my binders and go through all my notes to find that out. Probably pretty close to max level, and I'm going to say my longest campaign would have been advanced D&D into 2nd, because that would have been, I hate to say it, that would have been Greyhawk, because Greyhawk was it back then. And it's a fantastic world. It is. Needs so much more love.
It does.
It does, right?
It baffles me that like going forward, they decided to base most of the lore around the generic lore of D&D around Forgotten Realms instead of Greyhawk, the original D&D world.
The original, and there was just so much built up around that. It should be brought back. It needs the love.
I have used that Greyhawk in campaigns many times. I have used source material from Greyhawk to create my own world sometimes. In fact, secret that I'm probably going to reveal that Starkey is going to ruin it for her. But one of my favorite campaign worlds is a world I call Haunt, and it's basically an undead apocalypse world, and it's my own version of Greyhawk, but in a future where the BBEG won and basically turned the world into an undead apocalyptic wasteland where there are no more gods. But they didn't necessarily know they were in the world Greyhawk until they start exploring the world. And so technically the characters wouldn't necessarily know the significance of stumbling across the city of Greyhawk, right? But the players, any of them are veterans, were like, oh my God, their minds blown. So that was fun.
I miss that world.
Yeah,
I really
I do too. Maybe you and I can make a revival somehow.
That would be fantastic. I'd be in for that.
Let's see.
Here now, folks. They're gonna make it happen.
I mean, we,
Flip it.
yeah, somehow or another, we can start, letting people know how awesome Greyhawk is, and just advertise it out there. And
I mean, it shouldn't be hard for us to take that and kind of bring it up to 5th. The world settings are.
Oh yeah. Well,
the
they
cities and everything
technically
is
kind of already
there.
have some, right? Because didn't they? what was they did Tomb of Horrors into a larger campaign in 5th ed, and it was actually, but the original Tomb of Horrors was meant to be set in Greyhawk, if I remember correctly.
It was.
So,
it was.
So technically speaking, I forgot what was it called. Do I even have that book?
Insomnia's saying something like Lord
Gargasemba.
Sumba.
Yeah, so
Yeah, he
was,
does.
Yeah.
So he's doing. He does only Greyhawk.
Oh, he does
That's
only Greyhawk.
all.
Ooh, right
And
on.
he has a Insomnia Night. How many years has that campaign been running? I can't remember the number, but it's a long running game that he has going on.
Oh, that's a person.
40 plus.
Wow.
Yeah. Lord Gasumba is a streamer.
Wow.
Okay.
Crazy. It's good that it's not dying then. And I'm always kind of using, not necessarily direct pieces from it, but sometimes just the concepts, some of the lore, little pieces of lore here and there, I don't know. I never let it die. It's always got a burned, engraved piece of my heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now let's get to another question. Vanthgar's asking. Oh, so go ahead. I think I see.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks like a two-parter. So the first one is since you know VTM, what is your favorite clan? And then there's that follow-up question. So we'll let you answer that first, and then Stormy, you could take that second question when he's done answering.
Yeah.
So Zamich would be my favorite clan of them all.
Mm-hmm.
So they are a group that is about. How do we describe it? Think the old Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Right. He controls everything. Is his. Anything that doesn't belong to him, he's going to control it and take it over. That's what they would be.
I have to admit that even though I have played vampire and mage and werewolf, I only got to play them for a short period of time in my life, and so I don't remember all of the clans and stuff, so I couldn't give you a favorite. But I can tell you I loved the concept of the antediluvians and the whole idea that they were, the descendants of Cain, who was the original vampire, as it were. Just a really a wonderful and interesting concept. I just loved it. Just freaking amazing. I loved Mage the Awakening a lot. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent.
Mage was fantastic, and Werewolf was too. I mean, I loved Werewolf. Just so much in it. A lot of fun with that, especially if you get a good ST to run that. Yeah.
And so Vanthgar also asks, following that, what is a TTRPG which you love but either couldn't get people for or wouldn't want to play on stream? Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, that's a good one that I love. Let's not go with old D&D. What else? What do I love that I could not get people to do?
That's a tough one. I couldn't even answer that one.
I would. This sounds weird, but I would probably go with the Cthulhu. And the reason why I would not stream it, because Cthulhu is about horrors of the mind, right? And physical horrors, but really the mental aspect and the impact that it has on people. And because my stream is about helping people.
Right.
It's kind of contrary for me to be saying, yeah, hey, let's talk, let's figure things out and try to help them, and then run something like that.
Yeah.
That's just.
Plus,
that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense.
Yeah, it does. It makes perfect sense. And you try and keep your stream family friendly, and it would be really hard to do the adult themes of Cthulhu. I can see that for sure.
And speaking of that, only because you talked about, you mentioned something earlier. I believe Modifius has said they are doing Cthulhu set in the Roman Empire. I believe that was just announced.
Whoa.
So you get to play as Romans and deal with Cthulhu.
That's
How
crazy.
much fun is that?
That's wild. So
That is, yes.
the next question I want to ask, I'm sorry to interrupt. I know you technically have the next one, Druid, but I have a question I want to ask him. Have you ever played Gamma World?
I did. I have played Gamma World.
The original from back in the day, or
The
newer
original
remake?
one. I don't know if they've remade it. I have not
They
seen
do have a
anything on it.
remake of it, apparently.
Do they?
Yeah, I'm. People don't know this. A lot of people don't know this, but Gamma World is the original. Like Fallout was inspired by Wasteland, and Wasteland was inspired by Gamma World.
Right. I did not. So, who is printing it, or who's publishing it?
I don't remember, but I happened to go researching it and saw it on, I think it was Miniature Market or one of those websites that sells a lot of that. I'm like, holy crap! They either are doing it, or actually someone did do it, and it hasn't taken off very well. I forget which it is. So,
I'm gonna have to do research on that.
Yep.
Yep.
Chat, if you have, I don't see any more questions in chat unless I'm just not seeing it. The last one that I saw was the TTRPG question.
Mhm.
Oh, next question.
Van, that's funny.
Next question. I appreciate your existence.
I do too, Van.
Van Scar. Van. Thank you, Van.
Van,
You're super cool.
he is. He actually is.
Mhm.
I believe it. Because I'm great and hearing my own voice. Do you have a favorite space TTRPG which isn't based on an established IP?
Ooh, that isn't based on an established IP. So there is a series. I'm going to look it up because I always mess up this name. And I discovered this last year. Let's go to my RPG folder. By one of my viewers, who we were in chat. We were talking, or we were doing D&D, and he's like, "Hey, have you ever heard of the name of it? Is Stars Without Numbers? Is the name of it?" And I'm like, "I've never heard of that. What is that?" And it is a spacefaring RPG game.
Interesting.
That is not based on any IP, but it is based on the Blades in the Dark, I think is what it's called, is the core system that it runs on. And it is all about role playing. There is some combat, right? There is some of that, but it's really your RPing. So think Firefly. Right? I'm out in the ship, and the scenario that we ran. He asked if he could run that and introduce it to me and a couple of players. I was like, absolutely. Mm-hmm. We 100%. He ran it for 5 of us, and got us all hooked on it. And it was just, hey, there's a salvage mission there. You're flying your ship, and you get this signal that there's a ship out here. You're going to go salvage it. There's a rogue AI on it, and things are happening. It's just a ship floating in space.
That's cool.
It looks like it took damage. You don't know why it took damage. Is it a trap? Because you're kind of roguish element, right? You're not the established government. What do you do when you get on there? And how do you play with it? Do you take this AI and either shut it down or try to put it on your ship? Do you go and call the government and say, hey, we found this ship that's floating in space? What do you do? So a lot of role playing that was based on that.
Neato. That sounds amazing. So this is where we have to start wrapping up the show. So we're going to take one last question from the folks, and looks like Ghost Reaper has the question, an interesting off-topic question. And then if you have any questions for us, we'll entertain a couple more before we wrap up. Ghost Reaper asks, back to the topic of food, is there a dish that you love to make?
There are a couple of dishes. So I am, again, from where I am, we learn how to cook. The guys always learn from their grandmothers how to cook. So I cook a lot of Spanish food, or I can cook a lot of Spanish food. But my absolute favorite dish would be either a red or a green curry.
Ooh.
are probably my like go-tos that I will be like, I'm hungry. I got any coconut milk? Great. I'm just going to go make some. I'm just going to whip it together. It'll be done in like no time.
Yum.
I love it. That's amazing. I love it.
I love food.
Yep.
I love
Food's
food.
a good thing.
Food's a good thing.
Food and coffee. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
How can you go wrong with those?
So, did you have any questions for us before we wrap up the show? Oh, man.
I was just going to ask the two of you, kind of turning around with the question you asked me. How did you get your names, and how did you find each other?
Ah, that's a great one. Thank you for asking.
Yes.
Druid, I'll let you go first.
All right. So those of you who have been watching Bandwidth and Banter, we had somebody on the show. His name is SOC Teddy. He is one of my IRL friends. Absolutely love the guy. And he started streaming during the pandemic. And then one day he comes over and we're talking and he's like talking about streaming. And then then my husband's like, I'm going to start streaming on Twitch. I think it'll be really good for me. And I'm like, what is Twitch? And he's just like, all right, this is Twitch. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to make a name and see if Teddy can guess who it is just by the username without me telling him who it is. And it worked. And I had zero intentions of streaming when I first started. And so, yeah, that's how I got Druid IRLs, because when we were living in California, our tiny little apartment was literally covered in houseplants. Covered. Everywhere that I could put a plant, a vining plant, I had it was wild. Our house definitely looked like a druid threw up in there. So that's how I got my name.
That's awesome. That's a great one. Mine's not quite as creative and has an interesting flair like that. It's actually a variation, a nickname that I've had for most of my life. It's a variation of my actual name. My name is David Storm, and so people just call me Stormy for most of my life. And when I decided to make my Twitch name, I was like, Stormy D sounds pretty cool. It rolls off the tongue nicely. And I put the Stormy D was already taken on Twitch, so I put the SSG on there just to basically be my branding of Storm Saga Games for my YouTube channel. So
yep.
Simple.
And we met through people rating each other. Literally, I was a co-moderator for a channel called Just Me Josher with Ezo. Ezo is also Stormy's moderator. So It was just one of those just chain of events. We ended up just talking in chat, and here we are. It does literally all, we all just vibed so well. And now
it was amazing how we vibed over her playing Horizon Zero Dawn, which is not a game I would play, but it was fun to watch and watch her struggle through it. And
it was well, because I was still learning mouse and keyboard at the time too.
Right.
I'm very new to video games, and especially extra new to playing on mouse and keyboard. So it has just been. It was.
Yep. And then
I have the clip still of when Star Kitty followed me.
Yep. and then it was really neat meeting Extirpate Fate, her husband and fellow streamer, because we bonded over his name. I think I was like the second or third person who recognized his name was a magic card, because it's one of my favorite magic cards, and it's his favorite magic card. So we bonded over that, and then just because of that, we got to know each other better. And it just kind of evolved, it just naturally
all fell into place.
Thanks to Twitch, right?
Thank you to Twitch.
Mm-hmm. And now look at we've increased our circle of friendship with amazing folks like you, OldManGeras.
Yeah, we're so spoiled.
Oh, you're muted.
It's absolutely been fantastic talking with the two of you and getting to know both of you and your chat. I have so much fun with both of your chats. When you're on.
Thank you.
Our
Ditto.
Our chats
it's
are
a pleasure and an honor to have you.
Chats are great, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. They are fantastic. We have just the most amazing communities. We're super fortunate and lucky. And it's why we keep working for you guys. I want you all to, I know they know that, but I just want to say it again. And thanks again, OldManGeras, for coming on the show. We look forward to having you again in the future, perhaps. And it's been a pleasure and honor, and we'll definitely see you in the stream, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. Great talking with everyone.
Me too. Oh my God, Druid. It's just like I say every week. It's the reason why we love doing this, you and I.
Yes. Yeah. No, I just always feel so like lucky every week, and I'm just like, I get to talk to these people. I'm just so happy that I get to just learn and like learn new things about people, and just to be like, it is just fantastic. I think what I really loved was like watching chat fall in love with the people that we're interviewing.
That's right. That's
like
right.
it is so magical.
Well,
and then
no,
go ahead. What were you saying?
I was just going to say, it's easy to fall in love with folks like OldManGeras because he's so authentic and he speaks from his heart, and he's knowledgeable. And of course, I'm fangirling over the fact that he and I have so much in common with the history of Dungeons and Dragons. So
listen. I was just happy to sit there and watch you guys both light up, and I'm just like, I love this so much.
Yes.
You know, it's just so good. I am just so pleased.
We are
It's
blessed,
wonderful.
as it were, by the universe, whatever you want to call that, whether it's blessing or a cosmic synergy or whatever, quantum mechanical thing it is. But it's awesome. I feel fortunate.
Yes.
And you know what else we're fortunate of? We have the tantalizing and terrific Tan-Tan-Tater next week.
Tan-Tan-Tater next week, you guys. We're very excited.
Yes. From the Tater
My
Realm
husband is
people.
very excited.
Yeah, I can't wait. Tan-Tan-Tater is just a warm, beautiful soul, just like all the Spud Solutions and Cozy Chili folks over there. So can't wait to grill her with love.
Yes, no way. Yup. Tan-Tan-Tater next week, guys. 6 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Right.
So be there. Be there. It'll be great.
Fantastic. All right. This is where we wrap up the show. So here we go. Thank you for coming to the show.
Please drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below.
If you're listening to the podcast,
please rate and review the episode.
We are Bandwidth
and Banter.
Thank you.
And good night.
We nailed it that time. Good night.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.